Welcome to the April 1st, 2024 Board of Health meeting. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording this meeting, please notify the chairman. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of the Acts of 2023 extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during a state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 20, until March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Chatham Board of Health is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for the Order A. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1508-945-4410, conference ID 760-879-754#, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV Channel 8 and 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide the real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. It shall be the policy of this board to conduct its meetings under the Open Meetings Law so as to encourage public participation whenever time permits and as part of agenda item discussions. So we have just one item on the agenda today, but let's establish a quorum first. And when I call your name, just say present. Carol Boyce.
Present.
Ron Broman.
Here.
Richard Edwards.
Present.
Noble Hanson, I am present, so that's a quorum of 4. Okay, so the item on the agenda is a variance hearing and approval of IA Technology for 34 Scattery Residential Trust, 34 Scattery Road, East Southeast LLC, and I think Thad Eldridge is here to present the case.
Here I am. Thad Eldridge, East Southeast. And I'll be taking over the screen in a moment. So this was a newly divided lot. The neighbor needed a little extra land, and she purchased the property, divided it, and then she sold this to the Levies, who are now developing a house. We have a coastal bank, but otherwise we do have buildable upland of greater than 50,000 square feet. So, yes, the buildable upland's 50,900 square feet. Technically, the upland's a little bit higher. That little spot of floodplain that's below the coastal bank counts towards the upland, but since we had 50,000 square feet of buildable upland, we carried forward. So the proposal is for a 6-bedroom house, 6-bedroom septic system, an innovative alternative system in order to treat and help out with our nitrogen loading. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. So it's over 50,000 square foot of upland, and it's demoing the current house on the property, and then building a new home with 6 bedrooms, 1 extra bedroom above that allotted by 50,000 square feet with the addition of IA Technology. So questions from the board? We have plans. And so
I was trying to figure out what kind of system this was, but on the map it says singular. It's a singular.
Yes, we're looking at a singular.
Singular 960. Yeah. How do you decide which of these systems?
So the microfast is really the only one that's offered in H20. So if we have to put it under the driveway, we want to have something that can go there. We've been using the microfast and singular pretty much exclusively. It's just what we have in our templates. The singular, I like those more because they have that recirculating pump. So if you have the oxygenated effluent going back to the beginning, there's hope that there's more denitrification that occurs. Microfast had us putting in the recirculating pump at one point, and then they stopped. And
Can you say that again about the microfast?
Microfast had us put the recirculating pump on one or two systems, but then they stopped. I don't know if they got the results that they were looking for, or if they were satisfied with their results with just the standard system.
I don't think this is really important for this variance, but maybe you can explain something to us. We had a presentation here about a month ago from the Barnstable County.
I think it was Michelle Olmsted from the Barnstable County.
Okay.
Right,
done-
and they had
some
surveyed
statistics.
all of the IA systems in Chatham, 120 or something like that. And they actually measured the nitrogen effluent from the system. And the standard is supposed to be 17.
19.
Hmm?
19.
19 milligrams per.
Yeah, parts per million or milligrams per liter.
And the median of the 120 installed in Chatham is like 39, substantially above the standard, with the microfast being significantly higher than the Singulaire or the others. And so that's of concern, that these systems don't appear to be doing what they're touted to be. I'm just wondering why,
Well,
this would be happening.
The first assumption that we make is a 35 milligram per liter or part per million concentration of nitrogen coming out of the house. All those low-flow toilets and low-flow fixtures that go in will increase that. So it's the same amount of nitrogen, it's just more concentrated because there's less water. So you're coming out of the house, are you at 70 parts per million or 60 parts per million, something much greater? These systems are supposed to be able to get from 35 to 19 without a problem, but getting from 70 to 19 is a problem. So the solution to pollution is dilution, and if these folks would just take longer showers, their systems would be working fine.
So is this a problem in terms of the town of Chatham, the amount of nitrogen that's going into
So
the
would you
groundwater? I mean,
rather-
should we not be approving these systems?
Would you rather have a teacup of $100 bills or a big bucket full of $50 bills? The big bucket is less concentration, but it's going to be more than the little teacup that has less. When we look at older folks, that widow that's living very frugally, not necessarily taking showers every day, not using a lot of water, but still having that amount of waste going out, the concentration you can expect coming out of that house would be greater.
So the total amount of nitrogen going into the groundwater
Yes.
is still substantially less, even if it's not meeting that
Right.
standard.
So
So, yeah.
long showers, there's your solution.
So you have any idea why the microfast is not nearly as
Again, I
effective
liked
as
it when the
singular?
microfast had the recirculating pump in it, because the denitrification is going to occur where you have an anoxic zone. So in the beginning of your septic tank, the first part of the microfast is there's no oxygen in there. And if you can pull effluent back in, were you here when we did the Chatham tides? It was,
Say that again?
we did a system, the Chatham Tide system. It was a 29-bedroom system, basically on an acre. I mean, it was really, we fit everything in. Everything goes to a pair of tanks at the bottom of the hill, gets pumped to the top where it goes through a microfast, and then the system operator has the control to say, oh, I want 3/4 of the effluent to go back to the beginning where additional denitrification can occur. And then they can play with that a bit and try and make things work better. But with your standard home, I mean, it goes into the tank, it comes out, goes through a distribution box, which has no real storage in it, and then goes right out into your field.
So you're saying that the measuring the concentration alone at the end, it doesn't tell the whole story, I guess. But
Right,
I
if
think
you
she also said there were like 8 or 9 systems that are sort of approved in the state.
Yes.
And I guess my question, or our question would be, is one system known to work better than another system? Is there a cost factor as to why this microfast system is the one that's generally put in, or?
Generally, the microfast is one of the least expensive. I think the Hoot is less expensive, but I've only put in one out of our firm.
Is it known that some systems work better than others of the ones that are approved? She had indicated that the state was going to probably cut the number down?
Well, I think that they will be, with the new Title V, they're looking at 10 parts per million instead of the 19. And you can really only get that with the Nitro and the Nitrex, but both of those are in piloting still. Now, the microfast, you're adding 8 to 10,000 on top of your septic system, plus upwards to 2,000 a year for operation, maintenance, testing, and electricity. The Singular, it's a little more upfront cost. In the long run, the Singular is less because you have water pumps instead of that air pump that's going all the time. And then the Nitro Nitrex, the components start at about 21,000. Installation goes on top of that, and then you can expect about 3,000 a year in operation maintenance. Save up for the replacement of all the wood chips and everything else that goes into it.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's kind of an aside. So, on the plans,
And I
so.
Say
I-
from our client's end, we get an approved list, and they look at it and say, okay, the microfast is, I'll say the least expensive, even though the Hoot is less expensive. A lot of people will just put in the microfast because they don't care what's coming out the other end. If the Board of Health says, hey, the microfast, we don't want to put any more of these in, please put in only Singular or Amphidrome or any other, then
Yeah.
write it out and we'll comply.
Right. Well, I think one of the things the message we got was that there are different systems and they may work differently, and it was an aspect that we didn't really know about. But in the plans, I don't, the bunk room is the 6th bedroom, I take it.
I believe so, yes.
And then I see lots of 6-foot arches, so I don't see any problems.
Yeah, it looks like the architect was very careful to make sure that the library and the game room and everything wouldn't be called bedrooms by the
No.
Board of Health.
I made Paul meet with Judy on this one to
Yeah.
make sure that everything was
So
on
it
the up and
seems to
up.
meet our standards.
Does somebody want to make a motion
I'll move that we approve it.
in a second? I'll second. Okay, and then maybe any input from the public or in the room? And then Lucas, who's here for Judy today, can read the conditions, please, for the record.
Yes, the applicant has proposed the use of a singular system at the property to increase the number of bedrooms to 6 with approximately 50,900 square feet of upland, whereas a proposed system will provide greater nitrogen reduction and environmental protection than the conventional 5-bedroom septic system and meets the requirements of the nitrogen loading regulation. I recommend that the applicant be approved for 6 bedrooms with the secondary treatment unit as proposed with the following conditions. The applicants should restrict this property to a maximum of 6 bedrooms and record this restriction with a deed at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. The applicant shall submit a copy of the executed deed restriction. The applicant shall sign a covenant with the Board of Health agreeing to comply at such time as the Town of Chatham, through its Board of Health and/or Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners, directs the connection of this property to municipal sewer when it becomes available. The covenant and 6-bedroom deed restriction shall be recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, and copy of the executed covenant shall be submitted to the Board of Health. Throughout its life, the system shall be under an operation and maintenance, or O&M agreement. O&M agreement shall be for at least 1 year and may be with any Massachusetts certified operator of the appropriate grade that has received training by the company on the operation of the system. Effluent from the system shall be monitored at least twice per year for the first 2 years, preferably in May and October. The effluent shall be field tested in accordance with Massachusetts DEP standards, conditions for secondary treatment units certified for general use, revised March 20th, 2015. In addition to a laboratory test of the effluent for total nitrogen to meet the performance of the standard 19 milligrams per liter, milligrams per liter shall be collected and analyzed by a certified lab. Water readings are to be provided with the semi-annual report. If any of the field tests or laboratory tests fail, follow-up tests shall be conducted by a certified lab and evaluation made by the operator within 30 days. After the required 2 years of testing, application can be made to the Board of Health or their agent for the review and possible modification of the monitoring requirements. The applicant agrees to apply a minimum of 6 inches of compacted topsoil to all distributed areas. The engineer shall submit an engineered as-built plan, including as-built elevations with the written certification that the system has been installed in accordance with the approved plan. No alteration to the floor plan of the dwelling or the engineer's site plan will be allowed without the further review by the Board of Health or its agent. This variance granted pursuant to the State Environmental Code Title V and the Town of Chatham Subsurface Sewage Regulations is valid for 1 year from the date of the Board of Health approval. A permit must be issued and work commenced during the 1 year period of the variance shall expire.
Okay, thank you. I guess if there's no other comment or input, we can probably take a voice vote on this. All in favor of granting the variance for 34 Scattery Residential Trust, 34 Scattery Road, say yes?
Yes.
Yes, and opposed? Okay, so that passes, the variance is granted.
Thank you much.
Okay, so that was just the one item on the agenda. And we have minutes from March 25th, our last meeting. Does anybody have any corrections?
No, well, I wanted to add one more thing. I know that you have the minutes, but I added into page 4, under, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph up from the bottom. Bill Schultz responded. After Donna DeVore felt it is an issue, especially with the public waiting outside the restaurant, I also added her concern of need to post the signs to discourage loitering the public in those areas where there may be potential and unnecessary exposure to lead from pistol engine aircraft emissions, which she stated. Her concern with the signs, so I
Right.
wanted to add that too.
Right, there was.
Because it wasn't in
yeah,
there.
the signage and
Yeah.
the warm-up areas.
Yep, and that was listed, so, okay.
Okay. And then you sent out to the board, well, that's a different issue, okay. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, can get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All righty, and I think we can take a voice vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None? Okay, so those minutes are approved. And then I just, is there any new business somebody wants to bring up? Or old business? I just asked Lucas, is there any update on the new hire for the short-term regulation?
Not that I have received, no.
Okay. And I think in terms of the airport, Diane sent out another letter from some more additional information than all of us have. I didn't encourage everyone to read all that because it's an ongoing issue and there's a lot to learn there, I think.
She wanted to thank everybody, plus also attach that additional information.
All right. Okay, anything else? All right. This is a nice short meeting, so I guess we can adjourn the meeting,
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
and we can probably take a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Whew.